Okay, here we are. That's some interesting setups we have right here. Guys, go tell them what we have on the field.
Alright, I am Kill 2 with Angel Hun. We're looking at Pandemic Legion versus Monks of War. Pandemic Legion on your left in red have brought 2 Slipners, 3 Rooks, 1 Scimitar, 1 Thrasher, and 3 Kitsunes.
And Monks of War have brought a Nightmare, Scorpion, Oneros, 3 Purifiers, 2 Iteron Mark 5s, and a Jaguar. I really hope those Iteron Mark 5s are battle Iterons, because we're going to have a real issue. If not, because you can't screw around against Pandemic Legion.
There's actually 2 Nightmares on the Monks of War side. One of them came in a little late. You might not have the lock, but I hope those Iteron 5s have remote ECCM, because if they don't, these Nightmares are not going to get a lock for the entire fight. Nothing's going to happen. I can see that the Nightmares are running tracking computers already, which is kind of interesting. Weird setup. Obviously, the Nightmare is going to be armor tanking, which is pretty unusual for them, and unusual to see so much ECM. PL obviously fielding about the absolute max amount of jamming you could bring. I mean, they could have Blackbirds there too, or they could have 2 Widows like we saw Team 2 earlier in the tournament. But this is definitely a huge ECM team, and if Monks of War can get through that ECM and start to break it down, it'll be good news for them. And we are underway.
So far, no bombs being launched by Monks of War. Probably a wise decision, as they wouldn't be terribly effectual. Already we're seeing one of the Purifiers from Monks of War taking heavy shield damage, dipping into armor. The Oneros unlikely to be able to keep up with such a fragile ship. The Nightmares seem to be going after more talk of Pandemic Legion. Doesn't seem to be in any terrible danger at the moment. The Purifier is slowly clawing up HP, but getting taken right back down again.
And there goes that bomber. So that's not good. They really need to keep ships up until they can get a break in the ECM and get some damage in it. Another Purifier already taking a lot of damage. Pandemic Legion not having any trouble keeping that Rook alive. I saw some lasers active for a little while in the Nightmares, but it's turned off now from the looks of it. So PL in a really comfortable position. That second Purifier went down. The third one's going down as well, and that's really bad news. The bombers were so much of the damage for the Monks of War team. There goes that last Purifier.
I'm really not surprised that Pandemic Legion is faring so well against this setup. Just the sheer amount of E-War they're fielding is just overpowering, and the more ships they kill, the easier it is for them to focus even off-racial jammers on the remaining ships on the field. Not necessarily the most creative setup that Pandemic Legion has ever fielded, and really not the most high damage setup they could have fielded, which is really their tradition, but once again effective. And wow, one of their Kitsunes gets obliterated. Shamus goes down. Nope, that wasn't Shamus, that was Dahlman.
That's the thing. If they were able to get through the ECM just a little bit, they would have been able maybe to get through the jamming really quick. It sucks having to go for the Kitsunes, because obviously they're pretty quick. It's not easy for the Nightmares to hit them. Nightmares running tracking computers, which helps. Nightmares running smart bombs as well, it looks like. But they really have no good option. It's like they can shoot really far away to try to take out the Rooks, which actually tank okay because of the Scimitar, or try to shoot the fast Kitsunes, which get reps as well. At this point, only 5 ships left, 2 of them being haulers for Monks of War. Pretty bad shape, if I do say so. That Scorpion in half armor now and going down fast as well.
Yeah, and those Iteron Mark 5s may be carrying extra bombs, but they didn't seem to be even launch a single volley of bombs. Maybe being used for their mid-slots E-War, but really just not an impressive showing by the Monks of War team. Pandemic Legion just really outclassing them, which is really something you can expect from most matches that you're seeing against PL. It's an impressive setup, an impressive team, really quite conservative for them, but doing a very solid job of controlling this field. Those Nightmares are no puny ships. They're extremely high damage, maybe gimped a little bit by those armor tanks, as they do have a fairly low number of low slots. Each damage mod doing modifying those guns an incredible amount, but probably not able to fit 3.
Nightmare hurting bad. An interesting topic we haven't talked about too much is kind of the difference between using a Scimitar and a Basilisk, and the difference between using a Guardian and an Oneros. In this Monks of War setup, a Guardian probably would have been much more appropriate, can do a lot more repping, and they don't need the mobility or anything like that. So that's one decision that all these teams are having to face. We haven't talked about it too lot. Whoa, I'm saying some crazy stuff today. There goes that Nightmare. So just one more Nightmare to go, and 2 Iteron Mark 5s, which are both taking damage right now, and that'll finish it, which will knock Monks of War out of the tournament, I believe, having only killed that one Kitsune.
And that will secure Pandemic Legion's 3rd in a row entry into the finals. Perhaps we'll see them the very last match yet again. Wouldn't be terribly surprised. We're seeing those. I agree with you. Back on the topic with the Oneros versus the Guardian. I agree that with the spare mid slot, the spare high slots, apologies, on the Nightmares, I believe they could have gotten a really solid cap chain going. And generally, the Guardian's reliance on an external cap source to generate cap for itself wouldn't really have been such a big deal with those battleships on the field. The second Nightmare for Monks of War going down, remaining on the field for Monks of War are only 2 Iteron Mark 5s, 1 Iteron Mark 5, seemingly to very little effect. Those were used, not like the Metathrons earlier. Awesome ships usually, but really just not used to their full potential.
And once again, we're seeing cross-team logistics as they heal up this last Iteron 5. I don't know if they're grabbing loot. I'm going to check local and see if they're doing anything weird there. No, it doesn't look like it. So it'll be just a second before PL lets the match end. Maybe they just want to be on TV a little bit longer, as if they don't get to be enough in the tournament. But a good match for them. I think that part of what I talked about a lot last tournament was execution for PL, and I think this is another good example. You know, you can bring a lot of ECM, but it actually takes really good pilots and really good FCing to make sure the ECM's applied efficiently, and PL obviously very good at that. So good job to them. We'll see them next week, and we'll go back to Soundwave.
Thank you, guys. That was a bit of a strange match. Pandemic Legion probably not bringing their strongest, but certainly an alternative setup. We haven't seen many that EW heavy setups. Good showing by them. We have one more game. Stick around for our last game. It's Pasty Syndicate versus Majesta Empire. After that, we're going to take a break for a week, and then we have the finals weekend. It's going to be so incredible. I cannot even put it into words, but since I am here talking, I guess I'll have to try. It's just going to be fantastic, basically. We'll have all the commentators here. We'll be live in our studio. No more like waiting with background screens and all that stuff. We will be here constantly talking about all the action forever. And after that weekend, we will have a new winner of this Alliance tournament. But let's just wrap the last match up. It's Pasty Syndicate versus Majesta Empire. Should start in about 5 minutes.